Hello guys, today's video is about the top 10 legendary muscle cars. Picture this, it is the 1960s, the Beatles are at the top of the charts, bell-bottoms are in fashion, and muscle cars are ruling almost all the streets with an iron fist. Or should I say an iron pedal. That was the era when horsepower was not just a figure on the spec sheet. Horsepower was kinda like the way of life. From the thunderous rumble of a Dodge to the iconic roar of a Mustang, these muscle cars were not just a means of getting from point A to point B. They represented power, freedom, and a total disregard for gas mileage. So let's go ahead and look at the top 10 legendary muscle cars. Let's start with the 1964 Pontiac GTO, a car that is widely acknowledged as one that kicked the muscle car era. The Pontiac was first offered as an optional package, the mid-size Pontiac Tempest, which was an entry-level muscle car with a 140 brake horsepower 6.4-liter engine. The GTO used a tuned 389 cubic inch V8 engine, which easily made it the first mass-market high-performance model. Some of the top specs of the GTO include a 4-speed manual gearbox, triple carburetors that give it 348 brake horsepower, wider bonnet scoops and wheels, as well as upgraded suspension. The car would accelerate from 0 to 60 in just 5.7 seconds. This was some seriously high performance for the day. One of the less known fun facts about this car is that the price, $5,000, was so astonishing that for many of the various magazines back in the day decided to test it against the Ferrari 250 to find out just exactly what it offered. Next up is the 1968 Chevrolet Corvette L88. Now, when this car was first put on sale, it was hidden among the earlier model, the L71. It appeared to have almost the same specifications as the L71, but it sold at twice the price. One of the main reasons Chevrolet priced it highly was they really didn't want the public to get this beast of a sports car. Also, to comply with the FIA GT and SCCA event regulations, the L88 had to be sold as a factory option. This race car came with many upgrades, including Can-Am spec cylinder heads, an upgraded crankshaft, an 850 CFM dual-feed Holley carburetor, solid lifters, and upgraded suspension. Chevrolet even recommended race fuel to be used. Apart from the thrill of being able to buy a road-legal race car that could race at Daytona and Sebring, one other big selling point was the car's power plant. The L88 packed a V8 engine, and with its close to 600 horsepower, the car could hit a top speed of up to 271 miles per hour. Our next contender is the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. This is no surprise, as Ford has been one of the brands most associated with legendary muscle cars for close to half a century. Now, there have been many classics from Ford Mustang, but I can safely say that very few of them get close to the Boss 429. Ford only made about 1,400 Boss 429s between 1969 and 1970, making it one of the rarest and most desired muscle cars. Surprisingly though, the Boss didn't have an overly powerful or noteworthy engine. It came with a 429 cubic inch V8 that delivered 375 horsepower. At the time, this was decent, but not earth-shattering. One of the most impressive things about the Boss was the fact that it was hand-built. This was because its engine would not fit in a standard Ford Mustang without significant modifications. So, Ford hired CarCraft, a Michigan-based car builder, to assemble each of the Boss 429s by hand. Another extreme muscle car inspired by the thrill to win at the racing track was the 1969 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt. This car came with a compact and relatively lightweight body and a meaty 7-liter V8 race engine. This engine was actually developed for the more muscular and heavier Ford Galaxy NASCAR racers. Ford manufactured just 100 units of the Thunderbolt in 1964. While the Galaxy was too heavy to be competitive on various drag strip acceleration runs, the Fairlane Thunderbolt was much lighter, and it won the National Hot Rod Association Super Stock Champions in 1964. According to Ford, the Thunderbolt was rated at 425 brake horsepower, its standard race-prepared specification. However, unofficial estimates from various tests put this figure close to 600 brake horsepower. The car's impressive performance was mainly due to the fact that Ford lightened the car with plastic windows as well as glass fiber doors, wings, and a bonnet. The best part though was the Thunderbolt was street legal. However, there was a disclaimer riveted inside the glove box warning that the car's finish and fit meant it wasn't for normal road car standards. Coming in at number 6 is the 1970 Ford Torino King Cobra. Ford wanted to challenge Plymouth and Dodge and also reclaim the King of Speed title from the Superbird at Daytona. So the idea to manufacture the Torino King Cobra was birthed. The company hired a select team of engineers to do the job. The engineers added an aero kit and a larger frill placed close to the ground for maximum airflow. The final product was spectacular, and it could hit speeds of up to 200 miles per hour. There was one unfortunate thing though. The engineers omitted a honking rear spoiler, and this ended up leaving the Torino King Cobra quite difficult to drive, especially at speeds close to 200 miles per hour. The car's rear would keep lifting up at high speeds, especially during turns, making it unpredictable. Ford ended up scrapping the King Cobra project and manufactured only 3. As we roll on, we have the 1969 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, which is now one of the best vintage muscle cars you can find out there. This car was first released in 1967, but just ask any muscle car enthusiast, they'll tell you the 1969 model is the most sought after. The Trans Am comes with a 400 cubic inch L74 Ram 3 engine capable of generating up to 335 horsepower. However, buyers had the option to get the Ram Air 4 engine that could generate 345 horsepower. It has a 3-speed manual transmission and can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5 seconds. At the time, the car sold at about $3,575, but if you were to purchase it in an auction today, be prepared to shell out nothing less than $100,000. The next contender on our list is the 1969 Dodge Super Bee A12, a badass muscle car that can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in less than 10 seconds. This car was a high-performance version of the Dodge Corvette, coming with either a standard 383 cubic inch V8 engine or the monster 426 cubic inch Hemi. Some of the 1969 models, however, came with a 44 cubic inch 6-pack engine, 3 2-barrel carburetors. The A12 wore a matte black lift-off hood made of fiberglass and a huge forward-facing scoop. Its engine was capable of producing 390 horsepower and a potent 490 foot-pound of torque. Incredible, right? Now, under normal driving conditions, only the center 350 CFM 2-barrel was in use. However, when the driver slammed the accelerator, the outboard 500 CFM 2-barrels gave the extra grunt. The car came with a specifically designed linkage system that ensured they worked accordingly. Next up is the 1970 Buick GSX Stage One. And if you think Buick hasn't produced some cool muscle cars, well, think again. While Buick was late getting into the muscle car world, they did remarkably well when they finally decided to enter the ring. The company has produced some of the most powerful and luxurious muscle cars, and the GSX Stage One is among their best packages. Buick added a rear spoiler and body striping to the 1970 Stage One upgrade. This made the car look a bit un-Buick-like, but of the 687 GSXs built, just 480 were the upgraded package, the GSX Stage One. The car came with a 455 cubic inch V8 engine capable of producing up to 510 pound-foot of torque. The engine tuning and tweaks made the car deliver 360 horsepower to the rear wheels. That's a lot of power. Moving on, we have the 1965 Ford Shelby Mustang GT350. One of the things Carroll Shelby is most famous for is how he got his hands on the Ford Mustang GT and transformed it from a road-going pony car into a serious contender when it comes to racetrack monsters. And it all started with the 1965 Shelby GT350. Shelby took the then recently released Mustang, tinkered with the engine, and converted the car into a fire-breathing muscle race tracker. The Mustang stock 270 horsepower V8 engine received a high-rise intake manifold, a media radiator, upgraded exhaust headers, and a Howley 4-barrel carburetor. The engine could now produce up to 306 horsepower. The GT350 could hit a top speed of 138 miles per hour and accelerated from 0 to 60 in just 6.6 seconds. All that was paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. Up to 562 GT350s were sold in 1965. They all featured a black interior and a Wimbledon white exterior paint. At auctions today, this car commands well over $500,000. And lastly, I have to mention the 2015 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. You are probably aware that the muscle car revival started in the early 2000s, and since then, you have seen a good number of huge V8 models in the showrooms. However, nothing is comparable to the 2015 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. If you haven't heard about this muscle car, you probably think the 580 brake horsepower Chevy Camaro ZL1 or the Ford Mustang GT500 with 650 brake horsepower is outrageous. With a 707 brake horsepower pumped out by a 6.2-liter Hemi V8 engine, the Challenger Hellcat will shock you. This muscle car packs more power than many supercars you know, and with its optional paddle shift 8-speed auto gearbox, this beast can accelerate to 60 miles per hour in just 3.6 seconds. If you're thinking the Hellcat's power is a bit extreme, Dodge doesn't think so, and they produced a limited-run Challenger Demon capable of generating a colossal 829 brake horsepower. So there you have it, the top 10 legendary muscle cars that have truly left a mark on the asphalt. Be sure to check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks for watching.